Hello, welcome to my session on brain health for translators and interpreters and also stress management. We're going to allow a couple of minutes for people to come in and just allowing them to come in. I will stop sharing this presentation for a minute because I can't see the chat on my screen. So I'd rather, there you go. So we can say hello if you want to put in the chat where you are joining us from or where in the world you are today. Go ahead and say hello in the chat. And in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to start my presentation. I think I don't need to make it full slide presentation mode. Bonjour, bonjour from France. Bonjour Sophie, Valérie, David Lopez, hola. Lisa, hello. Welcome, welcome. Madane, I'm not sure I can pronounce your name correctly. Welcome from Scotland. I love Scotland. Yes, so hi Gavin. Welcome. So just 1 or 2 minutes to allow everybody to join us, everybody who expressed an interest. Hi, Moira. Well, you're my neighbor. I'm also in Hertfordshire, in Rickmansworth. Welcome, everybody. And you can start telling me if you want to start telling me about your stress or about your brain health. If you've had any symptoms, how have you been feeling? You can also, if you want to share that in the chat, go ahead and do that. I'm going to share my screen, my presentation again. Hi, Martina. Hello. I'm going to share it without making it full screen because then I lose all the Zoom menu. Yeah. I have to do it in another order. Just a second. Yeah, so now it won't cover everything, and there it is. Yes. Okay, so I think we're going to Can you see my presentation? Please let me know in the chat because I seem to have. Can you see my presentation? The PowerPoint. Excellent. All right. Okay, so somebody said a lot of past traumas, which makes it hard to learn, keep on learning languages easily, but you can't anymore. Freelance translator and mom based in Greater Manchester, and keeping the stress under control. All right, so we will talk about stress. Hello, everybody else who is still joining us. Martina, Moira, we said hello already. And Birmingham, Elena, welcome. Andy, welcome to everybody. So I'm going to, I have to go back to my presentation and start. We are already 42, so that's fine. Okay, so welcome again. My name is Gabriela Boccanete. If you haven't yet, maybe connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn. Sometimes I have interesting events and posts that are informative. I have been speaking and teaching and training on stress management for linguists, interpreters, and translators for a long time. My first session was for the Chartered Institute of Linguists in 2012, and it was called Breathe and Change Your Life. And since then, it has evolved into a couple of online programs as well. The Resilience series was created by me before, about 4 years ago, when nobody was talking about resilience. Some colleagues even thought that people would not understand what it means at the time. Since then, the term has come into our mainstream vocabulary, and we all talk about resilience now because the world has moved to even more stressful situations, even more uncertainty, and even more things that trigger our stress. And we are going to talk about that. But just to reassure you that I'm qualified, if you haven't seen or read anything about me, these are also, besides being conference interpreter, interpreter trainer, I'm also a coach. I qualified in neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, master results coaching, and also yoga teacher. And I specialize as a yoga teacher in yoga for stress, burnout, and fatigue conditions, yoga for digestive health, restorative yoga, and yoga nidra meditation, which is the easiest form of meditation that you can practice because you don't have to do anything. It's all done for you. I'm also qualified as a nutritional therapist, and I've completed recently my gut health and supplement advising courses. And my latest love in this holistic health approach is my sound therapy, which you will have a taste of towards the end of this session. So, as I said, I created these two online programs, but also lots of smaller, shorter trainings you can see on my website if you visit it. So one of my main programs is called Calm Vitality Resilience, and it helps you with what it says on the tin, becoming more calm, acquiring more vitality, but also getting to that gentle resilience that we all need to be healthy long term. And more recently, I created a program for hearing health, which I called Tinnitus Be Gone, because some of my colleagues, some of the interpreters who work remotely, have reported lots of auditory health issues, especially tinnitus and ringing in the ears and symptoms like that. So, talking about posture, because we have to start with the foundation. So I'd like you to straighten up your posture, to feel well supported. Ideally, you should have your feet supported, so not your feet dangling. Uncross your legs, and then you're more balanced on your sitting bones, and just allow yourself to be with your spine upright. So these days, because we are working with so many screens for so long hours, we are absorbed. So this lots of multimedia, but also the screens themselves tend to absorb us when we focus a lot on screens. And what happens is that we go to this posture forward, head forward, which is horribly unbalancing and misaligning for the spine. So I want you to try and do a double chin and feel what happens here in the back of the neck. Can you feel what happens if you come from here to here? Yes, it's not a sexy pose to have a double chin, but the effect on the back of the head is elongating and rebalancing on the spine. So the spine is this thin axis, and the head is a heavy part of our body. So it needs to be balanced. Otherwise, there are lots of things that go off balance and misaligned from the head downwards, so from the neck down. So not only tension in the neck, but also it transmits down, shoulders, upper back, mid back, lower back. So even to the hips, and sometimes we become so accustomed in this misalignment that we acquire all sorts of different shapes, which are not our normal, natural, healthy shapes, right? So if we stay in head forward, the shoulders come forward, the spine rounds forward, the breathing becomes shallow because, of course, we close down the thorax. Your rib cage has to be free to do this accordion-like movement. And if you close it down, the accordion is not working, right? So, and what is the consequence of not breathing fully with your full lung capacity? With shallow breathing come lots of negative consequences. So I'd like you to make a habit of breathing fully, being upright in your posture, whether you're sitting or standing. And it's good to have sit-stand desks and to change from sitting to standing every half hour or so, and to move when you take breaks, move, shake your shoulders, rotate your body, all sorts of freestyle, not necessarily structured exercise, but shaking off stuff energetically will help you de-stress as well, right? So you can have frequent breaks and shake off the burden. So yes, if the breath is shallow, there is not enough oxygen to the brain and to the vital organs. So the tension around your jaws starts accumulating as well, which is not good for you, especially when you sleep. You start snoring and all sorts of misalignments again. The facial muscles and the muscles of the neck go out of balance during sleep, but also then maybe during the day. And we don't necessarily want that. So what to do about this is redress as often as you remember. So this redressing motion by bringing the chin slightly down, never mind, don't worry about the double chin. It's more about health and balance and mental health, which comes with enough oxygen to the brain, right? So elongating the back of the neck, you can do it by bringing the chin to the chest. Even when you're lying down in your bed, it's best to sleep without a pillow if you can, or a very thin one, because a thick or high pillow increases pressure in cranial nerves and in the neck regions, which is so delicate. There are lots of nerves coming from the body to the brain and from the brain to the body, and we don't want to increase pressure in to pinch those nerves, right? So tilting this chin down, focusing on how the back and the neck elongates, like I said, not only sitting, standing, but also when you go to bed. Do it gently. And if you do it gently, repeat several times, you can also lie when you're lying down, and again, very gently. I'm not suggesting you hit your head. It's a gentle tilting of the chin towards the chest and a slight push of the back of the head in the bed. So a slight, just ever so slightly, and then you will feel what happens. So when you take a break, and if you have a yoga mat, if you have an exercise mat, you can try that as well. But just be very gentle, because again, the neck and this area, the whole area of the back of the neck is so delicate. It's where all the spinal nerves come in between the head and the body, but also thin muscles and tendons and ligaments that are all very delicate. So you need to go gently. Just going to have a quick look at the chat. Thank you, Luisa. Yes, I will come to managing stress during interpreting. Yes. So working from home is stressful for many people. It's isolating. We all feel that. Okay, so let's continue. And then there is a Q&A function, right? You can place your questions in the Q&A, and then it's easier for me to, instead of going through lots of chat, I can just focus at the end of the presentation on the questions. There you can also upvote the questions if you are interested in the same topic, and then at the end it's more clear. But definitely go to the Q&A. Yes. So how have you been feeling lately? How has your brain been feeling lately? You have told me already. You've been stressed. You've had some anxiety from what I read until now. So feeling in the body these symptoms, sometimes acknowledging them and sitting with them can soften them, right? But we have to learn the proper practices and the most effective practices. So I've done some surveys lately, and the struggles that people report are concentration, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, loneliness, lots of sleep issues. So the self-care is actually lack of self-care. Overthinking, which comes with anxiety, right? Difficulty staying healthy, right? Self-awareness, lack of self-awareness again. Too stressed in the new normal, that's what people reported. Overworked and overwhelmed, unwanted weight gain, anxiety, perfectionism. Sometimes good enough is good enough. Eye fatigue, mindset issues, procrastination, impatience, frustration, confidence. Some of these sound like you're being harsh on yourself, like procrastination. We have been conditioned in this achievement culture to go, 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 do, do, do. But what about being? What about feeling and sensing in the body and connecting really and truly to what you are feeling? And then your body speaks to you and you can listen. If you just do and like this culture of achievement and bigger and more and competition and I have to be better than so and so, it doesn't work. It doesn't serve you. It creates more anxiety. So procrastination is one of those things that when you need to rest, you need to rest. Yes, there are ways in which you can rest deeply and more efficiently, and that's what Yoga Nidra is. But you cannot go without feeling and acknowledging and honoring what is going on in here. What is going on, right? So, yeah, let's continue. Notice there's one question. I will come to your questions. Please put your questions in the Q&A. So I'm asking here, what have you done to get rid of the brain fog? Because brain fog has been a common thread in all these. So when people say difficulty concentrating or difficulty finding the right word, it's the same, it's in the same area. So just a few words about the brain fog. I've presented on this also in other big events in the last 2 years. So finding it difficult to pay attention and to focus for any length of time is also a negative consequence of the infinite scrolling, right? Infinite scrolling on the social media is making us lose the capacity to pay attention, and it's not our fault. It's not our fault. So I want you to know it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Take a deep breath in and out, and say to yourself, it's not my fault. Because technology has skyrocketed, but with the skyrocketing of technology comes a snowball of mental health issues. It's there. It's right in front of our noses. Technology, social media, all the services online, lack of support, and all the rest, working online, having to pay attention to 3, 4, 5, 6 screens. There is only so much capacity that our attention, awareness, intelligence in stressful times can do. So yes, let's do a short practice, because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by things that I'm speaking about. So let's just feel the feet. If you have been with your feet dangling, please support them on something, or put them on the floor, or stand up if you cannot be sitting and feeling the feet supported. It's okay. Stand up or just feel the feet. Spread the toes out. And this is one of the quick coping strategies that you can do anywhere, and you can do it during interpreting as well. You can do it in any kind of situation, and nobody even notices. So connect your awareness to your feet and breathe through your feet. So it's, of course, you cannot physically breathe through your feet, but that's the level of awareness and acknowledgement that I want you to create. I bet you are already feeling a little bit more stable and a little bit less anxious if you have this intention of spreading out the toes, occupying more space with your feet, feeling that connection to earth. You can even imagine that you're growing roots from the heels of your feet down into the floor, down beneath the floor, beneath you, down into the earth. And then from the little toe down another root, further down, and from the big toe. So with these 3 points, with these 3 roots, energetically drilling down and connecting deeply with Mother Earth. How are you feeling now? Yep. And getting out first thing in the morning, yes. And sun exposure, of course. Okay, Pilates is good for you. Breath work is also good for you. Okay, all right. A lot calmer. And how easy is that? It's very easy, right? So breath work, breath awareness, and just grounding. This is a grounding effect, right? So just grounding by bringing your awareness to your feet, spreading your toes, placing them down, maybe even connect to the spaces in between your toes, right? Those places that you squash in uncomfortable shoes so often. So that grounding effect is very beneficial and very balancing. So there's lots of causes of this brain fog, but also it is a consequence or a symptom of other diseases, syndromes, right? Um, it can be a consequence of unhealthy lifestyle when you don't sleep properly, maybe you eat the wrong foods. You need to have a brain-friendly diet in order to be healthy and to keep that resilience, that sense of calm going, as well as the breath work and the grounding exercises, as well as the movement. And we'll see some more things that the brain loves. So dehydration is also bad for the brain. Take a sip of water. A sedentary lifestyle, yes, we have this profession that can translate in a sedentary lifestyle. We need to make extra efforts and invest in learning the right type of exercise for us that is age appropriate, learning how the body works so that everybody can look after it better, learning how the brain works and what affects the brain. So yes, a sedentary lifestyle definitely affects the way the brain works and slows it down, and there are so many other consequences. So hormonal imbalances, also suboptimal relationships, or even toxicants in your environment are causing stress and brain fog. Because in household products there are lots of nasty chemicals. In cosmetics and self-care products, so it's preferable to use olive oil to massage your skin with than to buy a brand that is fashionable but that is full of nasty chemicals. So don't put anything on your skin that you wouldn't eat, in principle, right? This is, I know sometimes we cannot do uh, everything perfect, but just remembering to look at the labels, read the labels. If on a food or foodstuff product, there's a long list of ingredients that you don't understand, that shouldn't be considered food, and it's best if you don't eat that. If on a moisturizing cream there are lots of ingredients, again, the same principle applies. And also poor digestion and elimination are very important for the good functioning of the brain. You may have heard that the gut is the second brain because there are these nerves, and the communication between brain and gut is permanent, and there is more upwards communication from the gut to the brain than there is from the brain to the gut. Did you know that? So the nerves and the brain, the neurons in your gut, if taken together, they make up almost the size of a cat brain. But there's more to brain health. We don't have much time today to talk about gut. But just remember that digestion and elimination help you to have homeostasis, right? The body needs this homeostasis, which means balance, balance, balance. So elimination is not a very popular subject, but ideally you should eliminate as many times during the day, as often as you eat. So if you eat 3 meals, you should ideally, I know we don't live in an ideal world, but that's the balance and the ideal situation. So what is the stress in this, what we call the new normal, which is actually not that normal? But in the evolutionary history of man, our species, there was physical danger. Yes, of course, there were these predators that were chasing the primitive man, and of course there was stress. But either the predator killed the man, or the man killed the predator, or the man escaped and went back to the cave, to the fire, to cave paintings, what we today do as coloring. I like to think that they were doing that to distress as well in the primitive man times. So there was very high stress for very short time, for a limited time, right? It was huge stress and fear and running and fighting for your life for a short time. But these days, with the proliferation of these, first of all, unreasonable expectations, because we're all expected to master all technology and all social media and everything else that is there in the screens, the lack of support that I mentioned already, what this does to the nervous system and to the brain is that the activation of the stress response in the body is triggered too often. So turn off your notifications. Don't sleep with your phone next to your head in your bedroom. Turn off everything when you go to bed, because it's not great for you. It's not only intrusive from the notifications and beeps and alerts point of view, but also from the electromagnetic fields point of view. So the body is activating this stress response too often, and the adrenals that sit on top of your kidneys, which secrete the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, become depleted. They become tired, and that is how the fatigue syndromes appear in the body. So when you are really exhausted, it's because your adrenals have been shooting too much, overworking, and the whole system goes out of balance. So this is how mental health issues start in many cases. So this also leads to this constant level of low-level inflammation, but constant, which is the cause of all these modern syndromes and diseases, like autoimmune conditions, and some of them are confusing for GPs and doctors who have not studied the latest science in functional medicine, because they've only discovered how the hormones work fairly recently, and of course 20 years ago all the studies were done only on men, and yeah, so what happens in the brain does not start in the brain. It starts in the body. So that's why we need to look after our body constantly, more and more. The more complex the life becomes, the more you need to know how to look after your body. The Dalai Lama said in an interview, he was asked, how can he find, let me remember this correctly. So the reporter asked him, because the Dalai Lama used to have and still has a very busy life. And the reporter asked, how do you find time to meditate when you are so busy and traveling and with all these engagements? And he said, that's when I need to meditate more. And that's when I sit in meditation for much longer. Because it works, folks. So, what does your brain love? It loves free breath, so good posture, open upper body, relaxed shoulders, relaxed diaphragm, and free breath in the sense that you can breathe deeply without making too much effort, without thinking about it. So with practice, it becomes automatic, it becomes a habit, right? Gentle movement, again, I mentioned that before, it has to be age appropriate. If you like exercise, do not over exercise, because that also stresses the nervous system. So especially if you are stressed, or if you've had anxiety, or do gentle movement, do whatever. You don't have to be a dancer to allow yourself, give yourself permission to dance imperfectly and do movements that are circular, like waves, surf waves, and play with the energy around you in these shapes, and give yourself permission to just make up your own. It doesn't have to be something that comes from a certain exercise regime necessarily. Yes, it's very good to go to yoga and to do the types of yoga that are slow, right? So not Ashtanga. If you have stress, I don't recommend Ashtanga. I don't recommend hot yoga because lots of reasons. But so movement has to be gentle, enjoyable, to bring you energy, not to stress you. It doesn't have to be a chore. So if you enjoy walking in nature, go. If you have a dog, go walk your dog in nature. Run with your dog, or roll on the grass with your dog if it's not too muddy. But you know, you get the idea. Brain-friendly nutrition. Brain-friendly nutrition is food is medicine, and food comes from a farm, from the earth, not from a factory. And food does not have list of ingredients. Food is ingredients. So ideally, you should cook from scratch and do not buy the ultra processed foods that they're making us fat. They're making us sluggish in our thinking. Brain fog can be caused also, and is caused by these additives and colorants and MSG and all that things, those things that the food industry uses to make more money. So for them, it's about money. For us, it should be about health. Deep rest is achieved through yoga nidra meditation. Proper sleep, again, if you've been outside, if you've had fresh air, if you don't expose yourself to your eyes and your pineal gland and your everything that goes on in the nervous system as well. You don't need to expose the whole body and your eyes especially to screens near your bedtime, right? 2 hours before bedtime at least, you need to turn them off and use only orange or red lights That's the idea. Loving relationships, of course, are nourishing. A supportive community is very nourishing. So find the things that nourish you from all the aspects of the human being, not only from food. This is a slide that I like to share because it shows how you can roll up a blanket or a beach towel and place it underneath your knees to achieve this kind of cradling effect for the back. And for many people, they need a small pillow. Other people don't need a pillow. So you just find the sweet spot for your body. And then feet wider than your hips, feet flopping outwards, and maybe the hands either or you on your tummy or beside you, and see how your body feels, how your back feels, right? From the shoulder blades downwards, the back needs to be fully supported. And this is how you start letting go of stress. Placing something, covering your eyes with an eye pillow is good, but if that causes you anxiety, you don't have to. Maybe place something lighter or nothing at all, but then turn the lights off when you're trying to rest, or turn them away from you, so that you don't have lots of bright light penetrating through your eyelids. It's better to rest and feel what is happening to the body. So getting in touch to those nooks and crannies that are forgotten, and really feeling what happens, where the discomfort is. It's easier if you do that with your eyes closed, but for that you need to feel safe wherever you are. So yes, if you feel safe, you close your eyes and stay there for as long as you need to. You may even fall asleep once your body feels this comfortable, natural posture and fully supported in the back body. It tends to calm down, the nervous system comes down, and then if you are exhausted, like most of us these days, you fall asleep. So these two hummingbirds are here just to remind us that it's very beneficial to practice humming. It's very beneficial to practice humming, whether you sing or not, whether you think you have a good singing voice or not, doesn't matter. So humming is extraordinary for everything inside the head. So again, I'm going to ask you to align in your spine. Bring the chin towards the chest. Feel your head balanced and breathe in. And then as we breathe out, we're going to start humming. So you continue humming. Don't clench your jaws. Don't clench your jaws. And start feeling, maybe even place your hands. So take another deep breath in. Start feeling. Where can you feel the vibrations? Change your tone. Go lower. If you go lower, the vibrations go lower in the body. And maybe with practice, you start feeling them in your tummy as well. And this is nice. This is, it tickles, right? It can improve your mood even. And also, if you are an interpreter or a teacher, or if you speak a lot, this vibrates also the vocal cords, everything inside the throat, everything inside the head, as I said. And it's very beneficial. It's mood lifting as well. So you can use humming a lot. The question whether or not you're fully embodied is yeah, you don't have to answer to this, but If you want to reply in the chat, I will read later when I finish. But how do you experience? How do you think about your body? What's the first thing when you think about the body that comes to mind? This internal monologue that we have sometimes. Is it like a source of pain or a source of pleasure or a vehicle? It takes me places. My aim in all the programs, in all my coaching and training that I hold, is to increase your embodied intelligence. And this is not yet an a mainstream term, but I want your body to feel intelligent. I want you to feel connected to your body deeply and effortlessly at the same time, because times are still the way they are, and we need to make an investment of time, money, and effort to look after our body and to train it, not only for muscle strength, right, but to train it for resilience and for long-term health, right? What's the point of a long life if you're not going to be healthy? There is no point. So yes, my clients generally learn to connect with vital organs, to the systems in the body, uh, and so they learn to give the body what it needs at all times. Because sometimes we think that we need something, but actually feeling and sensing in the body can tell you differently. So thinking and feeling and sensing do not coexist well together all the time. So especially if if you're an interpreter and you have all this intellectual, mental effort sandwich with lots of layers going on all the time, you live in your head a lot. You need to come to your body and to come deep inside your body, and that's what you learn in my programs. So what does it mean working with me is a holistic approach, because I'm a firm believer that to be healthy and to stay with that gentle resilience is only achievable with a holistic approach. So there is not one of these elements that I mentioned of what the brain loves, not one of them will work in isolation. So you cannot breathe yourself healthy if you have toxic relationships. You cannot exercise your way out of a bad diet. So everything is important. There are small changes, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You just need to learn what is good for your nervous system and your brain. And then it is sustainable long term. And then people around you learn as well. Your children, if you have children, you give them a good example. And that's how you have this ripple effect positively in your family and in your community. There are some additional free resources. If you want to take a picture of this slide, do so now. And the place, if you have any more questions in the Q&A, or maybe you have upvoted them, I haven't seen them yet. You can also subscribe to my newsletter and take a picture of this slide as well, and connect with me on the social platforms. And I'm going to have a look at the Q&A now and your chat to see. Managing stress during simultaneous interpreting. Yes. So I said the grounding exercise. So if you are interpreting in the booth, you need to also remember that the oxygen runs out midway through the day. So make sure you get fresh air. So go out when you have a break and take some fresh air, proper fresh air. I mean, not if the booth is in an underground location. Sometimes the air is not great, but try to get fresh air for your brain in the breaks, if that is at all possible. Also, the grounding exercise that I taught you with feeling your feet, bringing your awareness and intelligence to your feet, makes you feel more stable, more grounded, more in the now, so more present, because presence is very powerful. So sometimes we become I don't want to say disembodied, but we become too much in the head, and this can become anxiety and overthinking and going around in circles in the thought processes. But to become grounded and balanced in the here and now, you bring your energy down to your feet. That is very powerful. Also, conscious breathing. So, breathing, you can do breathing to a count of 4 and breathing out to a count of 4. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. But I don't want you to be worried about counting. So that's why I said you need to free your breath. So you need to make time to learn the breathing techniques. 1 or 2, which are calming. So long, gentle, silky breath is very beneficial. It's calming and balancing. Yes, and not necessarily count, but just feel in the body. If you're well connected to your body, you don't need to count. I do accept patients for sessions, and there is my website, gabrielabocanete.com, and in the services section of the, so you have, if you've taken pictures of my last 2 slides, you have also all my contact details, right? So I'm going to see the chat box now to see if there are any more messages or questions or comments. Dancing like no one's watching, yes. Relaxing and boost lifting, yes. Mood lifting, yes. An increased need for help post-COVID, yes. And thank you for saying that my voice is calming. I use my voice during my sessions with that intention to calm people down, because we all need to be a little bit more calming. And exercise, any exercise in the morning. So having a dedicated routine, yes. There is no one size fits all for health. Poetry, exactly. So using your voice, singing, reciting, there is no one size fits all. Find what does it for you, but that's, you need to be aware, what does it for you? Do what makes you happy as well, because then you have less stress, you have more health enhancing hormones circulating in your body if you have happy making activities during the day, right? So singing, reciting, coloring in, mandala books are very calming as well. Rolling on the floor, if you have kids, play with them on the floor. Being on the floor when you are indoors and outdoors, if possible, is also grounding. So we have lots of furniture and fancy furniture, but there's nothing like being on the floor. And then there are different movements that the body and the skeleton does, and it's good for you. And you can rolling, rocking is also soothing for the nervous system. There's lots of more things that I'd love to teach you, but I think this session is now coming to a close. So if you want to get in touch, please get in touch. There are links that you have taken pictures of my contacts. If not, here it is again. And let me know if you'd like to participate in one of my programs or to have your one-on-one session. I'm happy to do either. So thank you very much for your attention today. Lots of love. Look after yourself. Another question? Yes, I've replied this one. Okay, so lots of love. Take care of yourself, and I hope to hear from you soon. If you want to tweet, my handle is at Gabi Bocanete. Or if you post anything on LinkedIn, please tag me. So thank you for coming. Lots of love. Merci beaucoup. Bye. Enjoy the rest of the sessions and the rest of the conference. Bye-bye.